Now the first step in Dreamweaver is to create a site, right? So the very first step is to site. I'm going to always start with creating a site, and that's what you should be doing as well, right? So site, new site. My website is about recycling, so I'm going to give a name called as recycle. Now, it is important for you to choose the right path. It doesn't matter whether it is on your USB or it is on your M drive, right? Wherever it is, just tell me what folder are you using. So here, I'm going to create a folder on K drive. Let's call it as 15th Jan. And within that, I'm going to call a folder called as recycle. Yeah. So this is my web folder. I've selected that, so it shows me the right path, and I'm going to say save. Now, why I've done that? Here on your files panel, you can see it will show me all the files I will have for that. Yeah. Now, on Windows 8, I want to get the file explorer up onto the screen. So I press the window symbol and I click and I just type either File Explorer. Can you see File Explorer come up? So you can either click on File Explorer or you can click on Windows Explorer, right? On my machine, File Explorer doesn't work. Windows Explorer works, right? And it gives me the computer screen where you can choose your folders up. If your machine doesn't have, in your Windows 8 machine, the File Explorer doesn't work or Windows Explorer doesn't work, it's not coming up and you're saying I've done that, then the next thing to do is just go on the Windows symbol again and just type C drive. Just write C drive. If you write C drive and press enter, it will actually give you the Explorer automatically. Yeah. So whichever way you want to do that. Now, why I've brought that in, basically, I want to copy on my K drive. All the files for recycling are in W2 exercises and recycle. Is that right? I have this folder here where I've got all the images, right? I don't want to copy the entire text there. I only want to copy images. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in my Dreamweaver. I'm going to say new folder. So I've created a folder. And can I see my folder? Is it there? K web 1415 15 Jan recycle, and that's my images folder. I'm going to leave all the images in that. Yeah. Now, all I need to know why I've copied the images, I'll tell you that as well. On my Dreamweaver screen, I refresh this and I can see that all the images are there. Is that okay? Is that too fast? It's fine. You could create the images folder that beforehand also. The order doesn't matter, but as far as before starting your page, you have the images folder, right? Now I'm going to do insert and my new and HTML none. You could pick up any column grid as well if you like. If you think this is the layout you want to work with, you can pick up this, right? But because we're going to do external CSS, right? So there are two ways of getting a predefined structure. So there should be different ways of getting this. The reason for that is if you pick up this and you say create, you will see it has got this structure. Can you see? But if I look at code, that is all inline. They have written down this entire code in the page, right? It's not an external CSS, right? You could use this, but then I would suggest if you're going to do that, then I should take this code and make an external CSS myself. Is that, do you understand my point? Now how do I do that? I'll have to do file, new, then I can say CSS. Is that right? File, new, CSS. Click on create. That's your blank CSS file. You know, your normal CSS.css file. I'm going to take the code from here and I'm going to take the entire code out. Obviously, they've got dummy text in. Can you see this is the entire code? I've removed it from here, right? I've removed that from this file. If you look at your page, it becomes this. Yeah? I've removed it. So here, I go and simply paste that. Yeah? Is that fine? Do you understand? I've cut that code from there and I've pasted in a CSS file. File, save, design. That's my CSS file. So there is a CSS file and this is my page. Yeah. Now, if I link that CSS with my page, it will come back to its original shape. And right, why we are doing that is because when you save as, then all the files will have the same design, and if you make changes, it is happening to CSS, not happening to that individual file. Yeah. So here, how do I link it? Do you see a CSS panel here? No. Yeah. You can right click on the page and you can go here, and do you see attach style sheet? Do you see an option called as attach style sheet? Yeah. Yeah. This is one way of doing it. This is one way of doing it, right? All I have to do is attach style sheet and choose the style sheet. Okay. Yeah. So my style sheet has been attached, and you can always see that style sheet here. And how do I do that? Window. Do you see anything called as CSS? At the top. So that's my CSS panel. You will already have it on your side. Here, this is your CSS file, and it is showing you all what's inside it. All the rules which have been made, right? You can double click on any rule and modify it visually. In the colors and everything, you could do it actually visually. You will just be able to select. Yeah? Is that okay? Yeah? But this is only if you're going to use an existing template with the styles automatically written down for you. Is that, yeah? Otherwise, what do we do? If I have a, I'm going to close this file. Yes, just, I'm going to call it dummy because I'm not going to use that. And I've thrown, otherwise what you do is file new, your HTML none. Is that okay? That's your blank file. And at the same time, you just do file, new, and you do CSS, and you take a blank. Both new, blank. Is that right? HTML is blank, and my CSS is blank too. Now what I'm just going to do is save my CSS first. I'm going to call it style. That's my style.css file, right? The process is same. Go back to your page, right click and say CSS styles, attach style sheet, or on this panel, can you see this link symbol? This. Click on this. It gives you the same option and you choose your file, click on OK. Right? So now if you look at this, you see your page source code here, and you don't even have to keep this file open. You can actually you can close the other file, because once it's linked, you don't need to see it, because I can always see it by clicking here. Anything which is linked to your HTML, you will always see that under your file name. Can you see source code? Source, you have source code and you have your CSS. You can see them, right? And you can edit them as well. Now on my CSS, if I was to set up, I said you to set up your background color, is that right? And your heading color and your hyperlink colors, least to do that, right? Now before I want to do that, I'm going to go back to my source code and in design. That's my page design, right? We said we're going to insert table. Yeah. How many rows, columns, and what percentage do we want? 100%, or I prefer working with 95. It doesn't stretch the website all to the end. It keeps a slight difference. And no border, nothing. Um, we said we were going to write down summary for, if you're going to use tables to create your web layout, then do make sure that you write down summary for accessibility. You write down, you describe your page there. Yeah. So click on OK. That's your page. Make it centered on the page. So I've aligned it center, right? I've aligned my table center. Yeah. Now I'm going to drag the logo, because the first thing you need to know is logo, and I've just described the logo here. Is that right? In my old, I've just described my logo. Is that right? Now, on my CSS, or I want to set up the colors for my CSS, my background and everything. Is that right? There are so many ways of doing it. You can go to this, or you can just click here. If you click on this plus, that means you want to add a rule. You want to define a rule. Do you know what a rule is? Carol, what's a rule? What a CSS rule is? Do you remember does anyone remember how to write down the code for writing down a CSS? Do you? Do you want to write it on the board? I would just want you to tell me, let's say if I want to set up the background color, green, how do I write down on the board? You just have to not touch your palm with it. Yeah, you can. It's fine. Leave that, otherwise it won't write. Yeah. The other way around. That's fine. Yeah, yeah. Very good. It's just getting used to the, okay. Lovely. Thank you. This is called as one rule. You might have more than one rules, right? But not writing down one thing, but describing one thing is one rule. Yeah. So what we are doing is, if I click on plus here, then I will be able to create one rule. Is that okay? That means it will affect one thing, right? So how do I do that? I'll show you what. So if I click on plus, Although I am right now on what? I'm on my HTML page, isn't it? My cursor is on my HTML page, but still the CSS will go in CSS file because you've actually created and attached your CSS with it, right? It will not go on the page, it will go on the CSS. So if I click on plus, here, this dialog box is important because it is asking you selector type. For what thing do you want to specify the CSS? For a tag, for a ID, for a class. What do you want to specify this style for, right? The default is class. You change that to ID or tag, right? So if I select tag, yeah, which tag do you want? You click here and you choose your tag. So I want to specify a background color, and background color is going to be affecting which tag? Body. So I'm going to select body tag. Yeah. So you've said tag here and you've said body here, and then you click on OK. It gives you whole of the list of the CSS possible with body. Yeah. So you choose type refers to font, right? What size, what font type, italicized, bold, what do you want to set up for your fonts for your body, right? That's type. Background refers to background. This refers to size. Block means what should be the width and height if you want to give that. But to body, we will not give height and width, isn't it? Body just needs to have a background color. Now, if I go to background color here, you see here background color. Now, I can choose this, and can you see this eyedropper? Now, I want to pick up a background color, which is this. I can take it to the any image on the, and it'll pick up that color for you. So you're using an eyedropper tool to pick up the color which is already a part of your image. Yeah. So which means if you already know that you've got 3 or 4 images and you want to choose colors from them, you don't have to go and exercise and look for those color schemes on where you just pick them up from the picture itself. Yeah. So I can choose this one or that one. I mean, I can choose whichever I want. So I've taken a background color, this. Is that okay? Yeah. If you have a background image, then you will have to choose that image and set it where do you want to set it. Yeah. Um, do you want to have a background image? No, at the moment it will be just what size it is and it'll tile itself. No. Okay. Okay. What I want to do is, okay, we'll talk about that later. At the moment, that's the color, and that's all. So that is apply. So my background color has worked on my page, right? I want to go and say another rule, and that is for tag again, and that is for my headings. Is that okay? H1, okay. That's your font size. What font size do you want to set up for your H1? What color do you want to set up for your H1 if you want to set up any, which is slightly different? I want to set up a font family which is this choice, and I want to say color. I want to choose this color and then work around. I can't have the same heading color. Can I? I might. I'll show you what I'm doing. That's my heading color. And I, if you want it underlined or any other, just go here. You can go to block and set alignments. Yeah. So I want that to be, my headings to be centered. And I want the letter spacing to be, let's say, 10 years. I want to widen up the words in my, just, right? Okay. Now, that's my heading done. I've not created any heading here, so you will not see that the heading is done. Plus, tag again, and this time I want to set up my anchor colors. Yeah. Again, what do you want your anchor colors to be? So you just pick up your text color and you suggest what should be your anchor colors. I've just taken a random color for my anchors. Do you want it underlined? You don't want it underlined? You specify that. Yeah. None. I don't want my hyperlinks to be underlined. So I've removed the underline by saying none. Okay. There's only one more I'm going to set, and then we're just going to be fine with our minimum settings. I want to go here, but don't want to say tag because I want to set up a style for my hover. Remember? When it goes over my hyperlink, that is compound, and you can choose what that is, and that is a hover, right? Okay, and I want my a hover color with this color, and I want it to be underlined. Is that okay? Now, anytime I can actually either double click this to change any settings or add to, or can you see this? You can actually just click here and change it as well. Yeah. Um, I want to set up one more thing, and that is for my table. I want to say tag, and I want to select table, and I want to select, okay, I want to select background, and I want to say background color to be white, and I want border, and I want border color to be this, and solid, and yeah. So this is what my table looks like. So if I just save this, save all, what is it trying to save? It's saving my index page because CSS was already saved, isn't it, with the name. If you want to see it in a browser, you can see it in whichever browser you like. That's how my page looks at the moment. Yeah. With that, are you able to see the border? Yeah, a little bit. It's not that I don't want it to be prominent, but I want it to be there. But that's my whole table because I've not put the rest of the text in yet. Yeah. Now that's your main settings for the page. You can go back here. You wanted to set up, how many columns did we said we're going to have? I can't see my columns. Okay, they're there because it's just gone all the way up there. So that's fine. Here, I want to say my email, and I want to set up if that number is valid, right? It says here info at green. I want to make this as a insert email link. Yeah. And I want this to be both of them to be aligned right. So format, align, and I'm going to say right. Yeah. That stays on the left, that stays on the right. Yeah. Now here I'm going to highlight this line and I'm going to right click and say table and merge cells. This is for my navigation. And I said I only want 3 navigations. Is that right? So I have home, what we do, and contact. Let's have one more collection. Or Y recycle. Yeah, I'll have to highlight this and say format and align and center. I'm just showing you this because um, this is not a good practice to align things right? When we go completely CSS, then we shouldn't be using format at all. All should be using is classes and IDs, but I don't want to overload you with classes and IDs today. Just easier to just do format and all that, right? Here, home should be linked to what? Index. So I just do what? I do write index.html here. What we do is what we do.html y recycle.html and contact.html. Yeah, and I'm going to leave my these cells like this, but I'm going to go to my last row and I'm going to merge that table and merge that again, and I'm going to write down. And how do I copy? How do I insert a copyright symbol? Insert HTML special characters and copyright. Yeah, and then you say 2015 your name or whatever you want to write down, right? Last updated January. So I'm going to highlight this again and say format, align, and center. Yeah. Now, is that my bare information minimum I need? Or do I need more? Is that the information I need on all the pages? I don't need dummy text. I might need a graphic banner, isn't it? I might need a graphic banner. Now, for that, you should have chosen the images which should, I mean, it is a good idea to have a look at the images and say which one can be my graphical banner, or can 2 or 3 images be put together to create that graphical banner. I don't know which ones, but I can go here and on images. How do I see images as icons? View, and you say medium icons or large icons too. So you can see the images. Now, I can select one and I have to choose whichever I want to take. 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to take these 3 images, right? So this one, image 6, image 7, and image 3. Yeah. And I'm going to because I don't know their sizes, I'm just going to simply drag them in my banner area. That was image 6. Uh, And there was another one. Which one was that? Image 6, image 7. Now, can you see this image is not the same size? That's more of a landscape image, whereas these two images were. Right now, what I can do is, um, do you think these three images go together? This one should go in the middle, or this one should go in the middle. Okay, yeah. Now the thing is, what is not able helping you select is the background image, isn't it? That's putting it out of the context. The background image on that bin is not helping us, right? That's what is causing a problem. So let's say that image, unless you know how to change photo images in Photoshop, this is not a suitable image to go here. Yeah. Oh, that was the same image. I thought. I think that is image 6. You could do that as well, can't you? You had to create a banner out of it, and it's not that you can't reuse an image to create that effect, right? Um, or you could just do that. There is another image here, which is this image 3. 3R basically. Yeah. So whichever, but then all you have to make sure is this image. Can you see what is the width and the height of this image? Right. So I would make it a uniform number, and usually it's good to go down one level. Is that right? I'm going to remove this because otherwise it's keeping it locked. 200 and 200. Is that, yeah? I want to change this image also to the same, right? And that image should be same as, because they're going to be part of your banner, so they shouldn't be. And that's your graphical banner set, right? Once your graphical banner is set, there is this whole lot of in area left where we're going to put in text related to this page, right? Up to you. You want to create, how do you want to make this stand out? File, save. Now, because I've done my basic page and that's how all my pages should be, right? I am going to say file, save as, and I need to save it as what we do. File, save as, y recycle. Is that right? Yeah. And contact. My pages. All my pages. Now, you could have said that how do I know which page am I on? You could have just kept, I could have put here what we do as a heading, isn't it? Here or here. Wherever you want, you could have the heading, isn't it? I can, now this page is contact. So what if I write down contact here and I make it as a h1? Oh, that is too much of a spacing. I'll have to reduce that. Y recycle, Y recycle, what we need to, now here I can make that as H1 2. Don't worry about the, we'll change that in a minute. H1, and we've already have it there. So all pages, file, save all, and now it doesn't matter which page I am on. I need to change this letter spacing for what? H1, isn't it? I just have to double click on H1, or I can change this here. I just have to say the letter spacing shouldn't be 10, it should be 12 pixels. Apply. Yeah, and file, save all. When you go and look on your browser, that's your page. Now, something's wrong here, which I haven't done, which I should have made sure that I checked this page. I should have centered this banner in the centered. Right? Now that's not part of my CSS. So if I do it on one, I'll have to do it on all of them myself. Format, line, and center. File, save. I'm going to do it on all of them. Format, align, center. Format, align, center. And format, align, and center. Yeah. File and then save all. And I can go here and refresh. That's my page. It doesn't have that empty row, but if I click on what we do, that's your hover effect. Yeah. What we do, why recycle, contact. Is that, yeah? Once you have this bare minimum, then you start filling in data. Before that, you don't do that. Right? And you need to also look at how much data do you have which will go on each page. But this is your basic template, which should, I mean, that's simple page. It's not, I've not done a Dreamweaver template, but I've still created one page. My hyperlinks are working. My rollover colors have been set. Is that, yeah? Because if you're creating this, you can quickly put together how does your, but these are the few things which you need to think before even making or completing one page. Is that some, is that something which you understand now? Which one? What do you want me to go through again? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Got, I've got three. Three. But then I put the whole table with a white space. This is my whole table. And now I haven't put any data in the area here yet. You know, obviously this can be changed. I can merge this and get, I can do whatever I want to do. But that has been the area, just a tree area. The reason for creating those three areas is if I want to use different format, you know, this is aligned right and that's aligned left. You can't have different alignments on the same line until unless you break that down. So either I'll have to work out divs to create those boxes. But if you're doing tables, then these are just simple three columns. These are calls, these two cells are using, and this cell is using a call span because I've merged them. But then I don't use it. I just highlight and merge. Yeah. Um, yeah, but then it is column span because here I've got three columns, but here I don't need those three columns. So I've merged that whole row, basically, whole three columns to on one row. This one is merged as well, and here also it's merged. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm. This symbol here. Yeah. Just shift and a key next to it. It's a on your keyboard. On your keyboard, it's here. And on some keyboards, it might be at top somewhere here. But that's where it is. Next. Mhm. In real practice, web designs, we use list to make hyperlinks, but that is because of content management systems, not otherwise. It's block. It's block. It's going to be inline block. Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is that is only because of content management systems, because the templates start getting made for the content management systems, and they have to standardize how they write down CSS and how does that display. That's why it's fixed. Otherwise, there was no need to use LI for making menus, but that's the reason it has come up as a standard. And people who actually make templates for CMS are mostly the designers only. So it's just become a factory de facto now that okay, for menus we should always do LI. There's no need, but you can yeah, just one line. Yeah. Usually you would have this sort of an image created in a Photoshop, which is a banner or a landscape image. You don't have to keep the same image on all the webs on all the web pages. But if you don't have any more images, if you don't have many, if the company doesn't have many more images, then it's still good to keep that concept there by having a graphic banner there. So rollover, for rollover, I've just written down a rule basically, which is this here, pay hover. And how do you do it? You go here, you say compound, and you choose a hover or a visited. Yeah. So is that, are the rest of you comfortable? Now, for slideshow, you will have to use a jQuery banner or a slider, which I will take you through. Dreamweaver does not give you a slider, basically. It doesn't have the code written down for a slider, but it is good. I can show you how sliders work and how easy it is to just copy that code from the sample sliders and bring them here. Does that, yeah? It's not difficult, but I'll show you few sliders to pick up. So you can practice with other sliders usually. Yeah. It is only that we will do that when you have done divs, because most of the sliders you would be looking at would be done using divs, does that? And then you should be able to pick up that code, should be able to see that code, that this is what I need to copy paste and take. Does that? Most of the sliders now, earlier it was JavaScript, now it's jQuery. So, but you could use any. You could use any. At this, and also for the animations, you don't have to use jQuery. If it's a it depends on what CSS do you want to use. How much animation are you looking at? Are you looking at one image blending into another image, or the color change? No, she wants to know animation, but it depends on what kind of an animation we are talking about. If we are just talking about having one image blending into another one, that can actually be done by CSS3 itself. You don't need to copy a jQuery banner for that. CSS allows you the feature itself. You've not noticed, I think, if we'll look at it later, because I think it's fairly new and I don't want you to just keep here. If you pick up anything, let's say a tag. I've just taken an example, um, um, because usually it would be done with an ID or whatever. You want to apply that with an ID. So here, there is this transition, right, which is to do with animations. But this is very limited. Dreamweaver, the new premium and Creative Cloud has got more options for this, but CS6 does not have embedded CSS3 all transitions and animations in it, right? It hasn't. But if you go to W3 schools and look at the examples of the, all you have to do is pick up that code and copy it, basically. No, 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 no. This is not, you're not creating a GIF file, because if the GIF file is created, then it already has the transitions embedded. This is if you want to play with two images here and you want to set up the animation yourself. Photoshop, Photoshop or Fireworks, whichever you would have. Yeah. So there are examples. We'll talk about them a little later. I just want you to get this much right. But what my key emphasis is, if you have a task or if you have a simple website, obviously you are looking at small and a bigger jobs at the same time, right? But if you have small jobs and for practicing Dreamweaver or making any website, these are your fundamental steps. Because if somebody tells you to create a website and you've just taken whole day to just do one page and not been able to give him that, and you don't know, you can't show that you can do these links and simple coloring, it's like you've missed that spot already. Does that make? And for interview skills as well, sometimes you go for an interview, they will actually make you sit down and say, can you create a website in 2 hours? I want to see. And what they're expecting you to is to be able to come up with something like this. Does that? They will not worry about what technology you've used. They might, they when be very specific, but still this is that you are thorough, you know what you're doing. You know that you have to have a layout. You know this is the main, main ingredients of your page, and this is what going to be do. Once you know this, you will believe me, you will have this div written down in 10 minutes. Literally 10 minutes if you understand that this is what I'm going to do. If you have your layout in your head, I mean, you can, we're going to complicate layouts as we go along, but the simple layout is actually 10 minutes. And it's, you are going to be a web designer, right? So this is your template. So you can have templates with different layouts written down already, isn't it? I, your ideas could be your work, your previous work, or I will not waste my time. I'll ask him what website does he like, what is competitor's website, which he enjoys, his competition, or you should take him to their free website templates. Just show them the layout. So these are free website templates. There's a list of websites which just give, yeah, they're just, and they're already done with the dummy data and very focused imagery. They've already been done. Show them to give that vision. And then if he or she, whoever is a client, is happy with one of the templates, then can actually start working from that template. You'll have to change the images. Yeah. Sometimes you're able to buy that template. I mean, these are free. Otherwise, you're able to. No, no, it's with all the coding, with all the pages, with all the pages. It's there. So you just show them to see what. You don't have to waste your own time doing that. Because if you think the client is clueless and they do not have that unique selling point about their own company, then it's actually not worth to spend that much time. No, no, you will get it, but he is not going to pay a huge sum amount to get you done that. And I'm not actually proving him my skills, isn't it? It's the job. So whether I do it by using a template, it doesn't matter. The job should be done. That should be your key focus as well, because not everybody can actually still work with those templates and make it working. So it's, yeah, they will just, I don't like this one, I don't like that one, that color scheme. So what you do is you show them, and then they can play around, right? They can, and what you would be is all these templates would have an external CSS. So if he's not happy, you tweak some color and show him, is that the color you're looking for, or let's have a logo and play with your color scheme.
Isn't that why Photoshop was being used for those sort of things? Because you could do your mock-up, and then when it came to like changing colours and everything, it could have been just done on the fly.
When you were doing mock-ups, we still do that.
Mm.
I'm not saying that we don't do mock-ups now, but they are only for where people know, where you're going to be innovative enough to create some design which goes in, which has gone out. And it was also there because, a lot of imagery was taken from the Photoshop. Now the imagery is not taken from Photoshop, and they were, this rounded corner edges things were all done in Photoshop, and high images were taken in. Since the CSS2 came up, Photoshop was crossed. And also for search engine, when you have images and text on images, it's not going to be search engine optimized. The whole idea of using menus and stuff from Photoshop went away completely. It's just completely gone away. And at that time, we didn't have this rollover effect. We didn't have the CSS to do a rollover. Now I can do a background image, isn't it? It's just still a text, but I can have a background image on my A, and I can have a different background on a hover, which still gives me that effect which I want. You can have a small image created, just the size you want.
What about CSS like the web pages?
Let's go for tea break. So I'm gonna answer this question, but rest of you can go for it. Yeah, yeah. No, I'm just saying that if that's a specific question, then